Welcome to Trap Soul Train. So Jeezy still snowing. Is it really that bad? What is good, y'all? It's your boy Mixtape Moth. If you are rocking with this content, go ahead and smash that like button. Also subscribe if you haven't. But today I'm going to hit y'all with my thoughts on this Jeezy mixtape that dropped last week entitled Still Snowing. Atlanta trap pioneer Jeezy, Mr. 17.5, has reunited with the mixtape DJ legend DJ Drama for another Gangsta Grillz edition. This time in a celebration for his 48th birthday. And this is Jeezy's first project since his double album I Might Forgive in 2023. So before I really got a chance to take this album in, I did see quite a bit of criticism for it on social media. Given the title of the album and the fact that Jeezy had reunited with Drama, DJ Toomp, and DJ Cannon, I think it was natural for fans to expect a continuation of his signature sound. I think a lot of people were under the impression that it would have sonically been an extension of a series like Thug Motivation or even The Recession. But what Jeezy actually gave us was something very, very different. Sonically, it's not trap at all. Lyrically, it's the same old Jeezy, so that's the only trap aspect that we're getting here. The production is vastly different. So Jeezy, you have to keep in mind, always had a penchant for soul sample production, but throughout this whole thing, he's essentially rapping over the original soul, funk, and R&B samples. I'd say about 90% of it or more contains sampling from old songs, but they aren't sampled in the hip-hop way that most would expect. As a result, you aren't getting the 808s, you aren't getting the heavy bass, and just the instrumentals that have that knock that you would expect from a typical Snowman project. I'm not saying that he's going in over the exact original songs, but it somewhat feels that way. The drums are very light. You can tell DJ Toomp and Don Cannon had chopped them, but it's very subtle, and the drum programming seems to pretty much match the original, which is cool if that's the vibe, that you want. But this contains 17 songs lasting approximately 47 minutes. So with that being said, let me go ahead and just hit y'all with that track by track breakdown. The opener, Still Snowing. It finds Jeezy going in over that Rock Creek Park sample from the Blackbirds. And of course, that's a very well-known classic loop breakbeat sample that you can't go wrong with. And that's just the energy that he kicks off the project with. Then there's Slide for Snow, which has this really groovy funk sample. I don't recall the original artist, but this is definitely feel good and groovy. Then there's Treason, which I would consider a highlight. And this has the well-known Loose Ends sample that you may remember Wiz Khalifa used for the Kid Frankie. Afterwards, though, is Snowman Party, and this has more of a lush West Coast flair, but still a jazzy presence, so I wasn't sure of the original sample here either. And even though this wasn't bad, I do feel that there could have been a tempo shift at this point, just due to the more mellow, chill nature of the preceding songs. I think if he would have selected an old school song that would have had a little more edge or a little more punch to it, it would have sounded better. That's just my opinion, though. Then there's Inside My Soul, which contains the ultra funky Funkin' for Jamaica by Tom Brown. It's a very popular sample. I'm not mad at it, so, Next for the track, My Friends, he goes in over the disco funk classic Nights Over Egypt that other rappers have used, but I do recall Tracy Lee back in, I think it was 97, going in over this beat. And on it, he's talking about this reoccurring theme that's been on his projects lately of loyalty and betrayal and how he's not the type to cheat on his friends. After this, though, is Another Sad Song. This samples from Tony Braxton's Another Sad Love Song. So this was the first moodier track, and I'm glad that he decided to do it, given the bright, glossier sheen of some of the beginning songs. On Another Sad Song, he is going into his Tupac bag a bit, doing that social commentary, speaking on politics, calling out Trump for the tariffs, and just speaking on the struggle in general and showing a little more depth. So I do consider Another Sad Song as a highlight, and I'm glad he went in over the sample as it's not really common. Immediately after is the wavy track Bruce Wayne, which does feel more modern. It likely had a sample, but if it did, I couldn't recognize it. However, the production was a little more crisp and a little more contemporary. Then there's one of my favorites, The Whole Town, which has this beautiful Teddy Pendergrass sample that I feel was easily the best soul chop here. And Jeezy was going in on someone who remains nameless, expressing his discontent. Now, Jeezy has faced a little bit of criticism for this track because he allegedly used the same exact flow from the Atlanta pioneer duo, Ghetto Mafia, from their Straight from the Deck track, and I think it was 95. You can watch the YouTube video for it. It has over 1 million views. And I also saw an interview on Beehive's YouTube channel where Wicked from Ghetto Mafia was pointing out that Jeezy basically stole his whole flow that he used on Straight from the Deck without paying homage or without shouting him out on this track. So that's something that you may want to look into if you have the time. I didn't remember exactly how Wicked sounded as I hadn't heard the track in forever, but you can definitely hear the similarities. Afterwards is Don't Play About Me, and you have this buttery soul groove that I was unfamiliar with, but at the end of the day, it's smooth riding music like a lot of these tracks. Then there's, I'd say, a highlight, Head to the Sky, You Can Win. That samples from Sounds of Blackness, Optimistic, a classic. And this is a heartfelt track where Jeezy was once again channeling his inner Pac. And, you know, you can't go wrong with a sample like this. Following this is Anything, and this has more of a neck snapping funk groove, something very playalistic, very pimp-esque. I wasn't able to detect the sample, but it's a whole vibe. Then he has a touching tribute to some of rap's fallen soldiers on Hustler Paradise, where he is rapping over the Don't Disturb This Groove sample, another well-known one that's hard to miss on, and I'd say it's a high point. The subsequent song, Keep the Same Energy, it might contain an old school sample, but I was not able to notice it. However, there is more of a twangy trap flair with this one. Right after, though, is Thug Life Again, and this sample's from Joy Sims's Come Into My Life. This also finds Jeezy adopting that Tupac Thug Life aesthetic, and I'd say it's one of the standouts. You can feel the hunger and pain in his vocals, and I think Max B had used this similar sample before. Second to last track is Back for More, and this has an ultra lush sample that you could envision artists like Jay Worthy, Rock Marcy, or Crime Apple on, and that was just the playalistic type of vibes that you were getting here. And the project ends with the Teddy Pendergrass, or maybe it was the Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. If you don't know me by now, you will never know me, and I feel it's a fitting way, you know, to wrap things up. So overall, I'm gonna give this project a rating of a 3.5 to a strong 3.5 mics. Is it that bad? The short answer, no. I mean, it's really not that bad at all. I just feel it's going to have more of an appeal for those individuals who are in their mid to upper 30s, 40s, and 50s. Some, particularly those in the younger generation, are going to call this cookout music, or more commonly now, unk music. And while that is a current way to describe what Jeezy was doing here, I think labeling it strictly as unk music does kind of cheapen what Jeezy was going for. Look, even if you want to refer to it as unk music, I get it, but if we are going to call it that, I think it's high level unk music, or like upper echelon unk music. I think that's fair. But people that are in their mid 30s or above are definitely going to appreciate this a bit more. They still might not love it, but I think we remember, you know, when artists like Jay, Nas, Raekwon, Ghostface Killer would just kind of go in over break beats and the original soul samples, kind of like Jeezy does here. That was always considered like a really fly aesthetic for rappers to go into that bag and just kind of make a freestyle album to those older tracks. That was definitely an aesthetic that the younger folks might not get, but if you know, you know, that was always a thing. All of that being said, though, I do think that they could have chopped up the samples a little better here. I mean, I necessarily don't have a problem with the super vintage vibe that they were going for, but I could definitely see why a lot of listeners would like a little more low end than what some of the beats provided. But this project does remind me a little bit of Raekwon's mixtape that was available only on Dat Piff called We Want to Thank You, where Ray was just going in over soul, funk, and R&B samples. Now, I was talking to one of my friends who said that someone like Jay Worthy would have been a better fit for some of the beats that Jeezy rapped on, and I honestly can't agree. I mean, some of the instrumentals is great, or some of the samples, as great as they were, maybe weren't the greatest fit for Jeezy's voice. And also, you could say, you know, that Jeezy's vocals might have been drowned out a little bit by the samples themselves, because you know, these are classic records that are so iconic, and we might just find ourselves enjoying the original songs more than what Jeezy had to say here. That could be a reality for some. But yeah, overall, it's not bad. It's just something different. You definitely would want to be in a certain vibe for this project. I'll also say that I'm slightly biased in favor of it because I am a sucker for soul samples. For instance, probably once every 3 weeks, I'm just going to take a moment to just listen to nothing but old 60s, 70s, 80s soul, funk, and R&B. That being said, it wasn't as hard hitting as it could have been, and it's probably not what the majority of Jeezy fans wanted to hear at the end of the day, and that's just the reality. My favorite tracks include Treason, Another Sad Song, My Friends, The Whole Town, Don't Play About Me, Head to the Sky, Hustler's Paradise, Keep That Same Energy, and Thug Life Again. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section. It's your boy Mixtape Muff. I'm signing out, but as always, it's peace and blessings. Jeezy still snowing. One.